Africa makes the semi-final always, doesn't
He was the first nigga. No.
Said men away from the game. There's a
I'm a real hater like that.
guys are gonna ride Messi, but like guys, the man can only do so much.
Yo, my brothers, my sisters, and my ballers. Welcome back to another match day of What's Football Without Fans with your favorite social football analyst, Tsepiso Pizzi, aka Tebzoro. To the ballers passing by, I hope you like what you see because I surely like what I do. And make sure to join the returning ballers who continue to show gang love and appreciation by liking, commenting, as well as to subscribe. Another debate on having your say. Today we speak on the number 6 position, the holding mid, defensive mid, whatever you may want to label it as. The register becoming the new number 10. I'm not alone today. I've got Tepo on my right, Tulani across from him, and Yanga, faces you've seen on the channel that are back again. So my ballers, we've realized in football over the last maybe 10 to 15 years, the number 10 role diminishing, more responsibility being added on the attacking players defensively and off the ball. And now there's greater importance in the number 6 role. How do you feel about this, Yanga? Football, there's no more that flair. Well, it's still there, just not as much as it used to be.
It's not something that's nice to see because it is nice to see players think for themselves, if I can say. But like they're having that whole concrete thing of this is the instructions, these are the tactics, stick to this no matter what. Is a bit hard to watch sometimes, but I do have a problem with the number 6 transitioning because I'm a big fan of the number 6 position. I think it's probably the most important position in
In today's football, yes, as the pivot, if you can play it alone.
So you can transition the game, destroy play, etc., etc. But now there's a lot more impetus on it. You need to be able to play the ball forward much quicker. You need to do all these other things that probably weren't expected before. And sure, the game is changing, but there's just some core fundamentals of the game that I think should stay the same.
You grew up watching fabulous number 10s, the Zidanes, Van der Vaarts, Ozils, creative players who knew what their role was. Riquelme. Yeah. We don't see those players anymore. Like, it's tough to label a number 10 in today's football. Fabregas, David Silva, once upon a time. The most traditional one that we may think of today, I struggle, Ade Guller, Florian Wirtz. Instead, the new number 10 is now Cam, if you may call it. Musiala, Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Check, the one player for me that I've always said, okay, this guy is a number 10 through and through is Mesut Ozil. Definition of like a number 10. Man would get his job done, stay up top, get the ball, connect everything.
In between the lines, yeah.
But now, the way football's changed, it's like everybody has to come back. Everybody has to come back and defend. But it's like, okay, you come back and defend.
Statistics
and then
have
we get
taken
the ball,
over.
You see what I'm saying? We get the ball, and now it's like, okay, you look up and it's just a striker. There's nobody to feed him or to either hold the ball until the wingers come 100%. Through. So that's a number 6's job. Especially back in the day. Back then you had Gattuso, kill play. Modern age, Kante, he would also just kill play. Now we have the Rodris, the Casemirs, where it's like, okay, they kill, they make the pass, they assist. They there for the cut back in for first time shot or something. So game has changed big time. Yeah.
Seeing that as well, they're also being bought for the big figures right now. We 100%. Saw Rice go for 100 million, Caicedo 115 million, Casemiro's bought for 60 million. Who's the fraud?
Caicedo.
For
that price tag.
For that price,
Badly run club.
Fraud.
Poorly as well. That number 10 as the creative playmaker kind of developed in a way when Ronaldinho came in. I remember Zidane saying he's not the usual number 10. And then we saw a Messi, a Neymar. How do you think of number 10 off the wing, and that free role, as we've put it in today's football?
I'm going to say something that there's a difference between a position and a role. It's a huge difference between position and a role. So now, if you're going to put a number 10 as an inverted wingers, like they call it these days, there's no role for a winger now. You see, there's no role for a winger. You understand?
Well said.
So now it's a thing of the game as we spoke outside, the game is being taught textbook now. Because in terms of your number 10,
and it's so annoying.
It is.
And in terms of a natural number 10 or natural 6, I couldn't you say much about 8. That can't be taught. That has to be natural with you. So now I feel as if a lot of coaches are trying to teach players that, okay, this is the way you should play.
So just devil's advocate.
Well
Well
said.
Maybe say this because I may be far from the mic. Are you guys expecting a lot for these natural 10s? These are natural players, right? They're born. You're asking for naturally. They're just not around anymore, guys. And when they come, they will be 10s, right?
But
Yeah.
with that, it's
There's no one
it's
cost.
a
Like,
lot.
They're around. They're few and far between. They will be there whenever they're available.
But then that comes back to development and how football is developed now into robotic form.
Yes.
Guardiola is being labeled as the man to play.
Are they going to even be developed at grassroots level to play?
You
Tim,
can't.
You know?
It has
like
to
they're
be
being
natural.
puppeted, you
It has to
understand?
be
Yeah.
natural,
They're following instructions to the core. It's something that I think there was a conversation, I think, with Ancelotti. He said something in terms of like allowing players the freedom to express themselves on the pitch. I think was in allusion to Vinicius Jr. or whatever. And Gundogan had a sort of reply where he was saying he prefers to be coached in a way where he knows his instructions and he's told what to do to the letter. And it's different approaches, it's different ways to play the game. But I do think that sometimes the latter does kill the game a lot more than the other.
And the hurtful point about that is that it takes away from the entertainment sense of the
100%,
game. Because now
100%.
you're lacking flamboyancy or
100%.
that unpredictability.
100%.
As a player like Neymar could, just show off and bring James Rodriguez when he was James Rodriguez.
And another thing is that 10s are playing too safe now. They're not turning the player that's on their shoulder anymore.
That's
as
our
much.
chat. Is a 10 still existent in today's day and age? It's a cam now.
Fair and
I
far
remember
between,
I remember hearing Zoboslai being labeled as a 10 and I was like,
Not really.
no, that's no disrespect to Zoboslai, but actually identifying him as a 10. Zobo as a 10, I was like, is that where we are in 2024
It's true.
for
It's
football?
true. It's the game has changed a lot. Like you were saying, 10s don't turn beat players. It's the same with wingers. Wingers don't turn and beat players anymore. They tend to receive the ball and play it back to the fullback or the midfielder that they got it from. And it's the same with number 9s as well. We've lost true number 9s. We don't get your Drogbas, your Ibrahimovic anymore.
Your full crew.
That's the only number 9 I can say in this modern
Old
day
school.
is the old school 9. But everybody else is almost a transition between a false and an actual 9, like your Benzema's, your Suarez, even Lewandowski, he's a bit more of a hold-up player, but he's still on that transitional scheme of things. He's not somebody who's a bulk 9, So I think because the game is transitioning the way it has been in other positions, that the 10 is almost something that's almost going through the same thing, I think.
Highlighting some attention on the number 6. We've seen Rodri over the past 2 seasons. We all know what Makalele did during his day, as Tulani would have more to share on that. Busquets being the greatest ever, in my opinion, to play the register role.
I agree.
How difficult is it to play that position alone?
I think nowadays it's almost impossible. I think for me, like in the past 10 years, the only person that I could honestly say with my full chest that they can play number 6 alone is Kante.
Really?
For me right now, in the past 10 years, one person that I can say I can put him at number 6.
The
and
DM,
I will
as a
be
pivot. Or
only Kante for me. I'm sorry. Rodri's great, but he needs that extra support. But guys, what Kante did those few years, like when France won it at Chelsea, it cannot be undone.
Sensational.
No, guys, can't be undone. Like Champions League, Real Madrid, 2 legs.
Those legs.
One man
Oh,
bossed
one
the
man.
whole midfield.
He was man of the match for both games,
Both
right?
legs
Oh,
and the
wow.
final. How do you boss a midfield? How do you boss a midfield by yourself?
a fair comment that Pep
That's
Guardiola
tough.
said in telling Man City is that Kante only wants one thing.
He just wants the ball.
The ball.
The ball.
Protect it.
Man has got stamina for 5 years.
He has 5
7
lungs
lungs
on
that
him,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just off ramping a bit.
Mm.
Kante over Busquets.
Whoa. Let's calm
As
down.
long
now.
as, because
There's
I'm hearing a
there's
lot of
difference.
attention
Was
there.
it a total
Okay.
Busquets?
There's a difference though. Like Busquets, the thing that Busquets, if you watch the game, you don't see Busquets. But if you watch Busquets,
As
you see the
Vicente Del
game.
Bosque
You
famously
see what I'm
said.
saying? Because what Busquets offers, he's like a silent assassin.
Yeah.
You give him the ball, he makes the midfield comfortable. It's like, boy,
Forced
I'm-
Torres to be
you know.
drugged for the World Cup 2010.
And, it's
to play
powerful.
4 midfielders
I
for
think
Spain.
I think it's issues like that though. I think because Busquets was so good at his job and so good at the way that he played in terms of breaking up play and then allowing for a transition. I think now a lot of coaches want the same thing from other
Exactly.
sixes
100%.
who can't necessarily do the same
Exactly.
thing.
100%.
I think that's
We're all
where
not the same.
I think that's where the problem is because he was so good at it. people want to emulate that, and I don't
Exactly.
think it's possible.
And going back to Busquets, have you ever seen Busquets slide?
You
You've
know,
never seen Busquets slide.
Really?
And the fact that if the defender slides, then they've done something wrong for them to get to the point of sliding.
Maldini's famous words.
If I have to make a slide tackle, I was badly positioned.
yeah,
Yes.
100%.
You've never seen Busquets do a slide. And I've been in conversations where people will say, no, Busquets doesn't know how to slide. Doesn't know.
Aye, he
It's
probably
unnecessary. He
knows.
doesn't have
He
to. He doesn't have to.
And on the
He probably
vice,
knows he
They
doesn't
don't
have
wash
to.
his kid for the next game. It's clean, man.
on the flip side,
He
of
never
that,
breaks a
I think
sweat.
I can only remember one goal Busquets has ever scored, but that's because he knew his role. He didn't care about all of that. He didn't care about the assists, the goals.
Exactly.
He knew his
His
job. He knew
role.
what he had to do. He knew his role, and he did that very well.
Is it the one against Chelsea?
I think so.
I think he
so.
scored against
I
us
think
in
so.
that
It's just
Champions
one
League
goal I know of
2012
his. One goal I know
semi-final.
of his.
Yeah.
Was it Iniesta?
No, that
think
was
it
the
was-
second leg.
Second leg was Iniesta.
It was Iniesta, yeah. with
And
the left foot.
Busquets, yeah, 2-2.
Iniesta.
I think it was Iniesta and
The heartbreaker,
Busquets.
no?
No, it was Iniesta and Pedro.
I can't remember.
The
I just know
heartbreaker.
That
one goal,
heartbreaker,
though.
no?
Yeah, it might have been.
Disgrace.
It was
might have
Iniesta
been
last
Bus-
minute.
It might have been.
Iniesta
after
No, no,
ACL
no,
scored a
no,
fantastic
no,
goal.
not the 2009 one, the 2012 one.
Oh, 2012.
Yeah, because remember the second leg finished 2-2.
I think it was.
I
Yes,
think it was Busquets
I think it
and
was.
I remember the
Iniesta.
commentators saying when Barcelona went
2-0 up.
he's like, it's going to be we got a red card record.
This guy's gonna come back to this.
Sorry. We got a red card record. And then the commentators said it's going to be a long night for Chelsea at Camp Nou.
Yeah.
They went 2-0 up. And
Ramirez chip. Was that the one with Ramirez
Yes,
chip?
yes, that
and
game.
then Torres last
Yeah, and
minute.
then Neville caught an orgasm in the country room. Like, yeah.
like Chelsea, but it's England.
Yeah.
So with that being said, where to next for the 6 role? There's been so much attention around it. Every team in football now needs a number 6. It's been prioritized far greater than a goal scorer,
Yep.
a creator, a goalkeeper, that centre back. Where to next with it? More so when I say where to next, under the new managers coming up to the top. Thiago Motta moving to Juventus, the Fabregas is coming to Serie A, Roberto De Zerbi. Where to next? And what happens to the number 10? I want to see Florian Wirtz.
Ish. I think the good players will speak for themselves. The good players will have to own that position, and they'll make it their own. I think everybody else will probably have to fight tooth and nail to make it work in whatever team they play in. But I think the reason why every coach wants to have a number 6 in their side is because of the importance of the position. It's a very key position. It breaks up play, it protects the defenders, it allows for the transition, So, your Mikel Merino's getting looked at by Arsenal, your Zubimendi's getting looked at by Barcelona, things like that. It's just that key of a position.
100%.
So I think it's a position that needs to be protected. But yeah, I hope it's a position that survives, because a lot of positions now are on the transition to something else that I'm not too keen on.
Yeah.
Because with the 6 as well, you have to know to dictate the pace of the game. True. If your 6 is off, you'll lose the midfield battle for the game.
100%.
That's true.
It's a key position and it's a key chat that we've had, my ballers. I hope you all enjoyed this debate on the number 6 being the new number 10. Thanks to my guests who have appeared on this match day. Shout out to Monty behind the camera as the producer.
Tango.
Continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until next time, live long.